Khan here for Seconds Out with the Sun boxing reporter over in Riyadh, Wally Downes Jr. Wally, let's get straight into it because I know you got a flight to catch very soon. Fury versus or Usyk versus Fury 2. We've had the rematch now, and it's played out as a repeat victory for Oleksandr Usyk. Set the scene for me. What did you see unfold before your eyes over those 12 rounds?
Uh, Probably not what everyone else saw, really. Well, not everyone else. I mean, some of the people that were near me who I always think like I never. Sometimes people just pest you straight after. How do you see it? How do you score it? But just trying to work really, and worrying about what you've done and what you've written. But I didn't really ask anyone. Um, but I know that some very, very good people think that Fury won that fight. For me, I think Usyk won it really quite comfortably. I'm not really sure he got out of third and fourth gear. Um, Fury definitely won the fifth very well. I think an uppercut might have stumbled Usyk back a little bit. I think I gave him the second. I had a couple of even rounds. Other than that, I just thought Usyk controlled the pace, controlled his lead hand. Uh, yeah, just dominant and didn't need to. Yeah, I saw the 12th round was good. They went to war, but I just felt like Usyk never needed to really get engaged. He would score and he would move around. And, Usyk, sort of Fury took the risk of going up in weight. And because it was a ceremonial one and he had a leather jacket on and it probably had stuff underneath his jumper and that, what was it, 280 pounds, 20 stone? I'm not sure he was 20 stone, but he was heavier. And instead of that making him more powerful and imposing, it made him slower, easier to hit, and harder to keep up with Usyk's incredible pace. And what the reason that's annoying is if you're a Fury fan who feels that Usyk won, is that everybody in the world knows that Usyk, some of his main attributes are his freakish fitness, his speed, his mobility, lateral movement, and being just say 20 stone because it's what it's gone down as officially. Being 20 stone, if you're not march, and I know we've had this for a million times. You can't just march him down, but if you're 20 stone and you're not beating him up and dominating him and pressing him and doing it well, then you get picked off, you get made to miss. And he was very sweaty. He was very sweaty from the middle rounds. So he was tired. His shorts started slipping down. The love handles started coming out. I thought it was disappointing. I really did. It definitely wasn't a classic because I just felt that Usyk, maybe when Usyk saw him on the scales and saw him take his top off, I reckon he went, oh, yeah, perfect. He's got bigger, he's got slower, he's got easier to hit. And I thought Usyk's left hands to the body really missed. Um, yeah, and then he would switch it upstairs and tag Fury up there as well. So I was, and again, all week everything was stacked against Usyk. Just yellow shape doing a video where he openly said, "I want Fury to win. Tyson, be more aggressive, no more dancing. I want to see the trilogy." So that then we have the beard gate, change of judges, Usyk not being allowed his cross. It felt like he was very, very much the away fighter, and there was definitely a sense that if it goes to the judges, there could well be controversy if Fury gets a controversial decision. But in the end, I really don't think it was. And I understand, and I'm in no way, it's not like I couldn't care less about, I will never try and change anyone else's opinion. But when Frank Warren and Bob Arum and, Tyson's team tell you that they're angry because they feel Tyson won, well, of course they are. I don't think I'd ever heard of a promoter or a trainer who goes to the scorecards and doesn't think their man did enough. So um, yeah, I have no interest in trying to convince anyone else that Oleksandr Usyk was very, very good and Fury was disappointing, but that's definitely how I saw the fight.
We covered a lot there, so I just wanted to ask you, do you feel potentially the last we see of either man in the ring?
I would love it to be the last thing we ever see of Usyk. There is nothing that man can do more. Uh, yeah, Olympic champion, undisputed cruiser, undisputed heavy, cleaned out the division, beat up all Englishmen. He's done it to, you know, dominated AJ twice. And AJ had two goes at it. He tried to outbox him, he tried to beat him up, couldn't do either. We've had it with Fury now. We've had an exciting one where he was hit a couple of times and hurt. And then we've had the rematch where Fury was even bigger and supposedly more aggressive. For me, he's coasted that one. So, I felt it was a little bit needless to have that. But Daniel Dubois can do what he wants at the moment. He's on an absolutely fantastic run. But Alexander Usyk has just, I know not officially, but essentially, you know, won an undisputed heavyweight rematch with a man 4 stone heavier, 6 inches taller. I didn't like seeing Daniel in the ring there, trying to force a rematch that nobody wants to see. Um, yeah, that was Fury's moment for me. I would love him to vanish and disappear. Just in case, just in case he takes another fight and falls over and breaks his arm in the ring or something. There's nothing more for him to do, man. Nothing, nothing at all. Even going down to cruiserweight, when you look at the people he beat in that division, monsters, but probably not like a big name. So I do understand the idea of maybe going down for an upper tire, um, or if a Beterbiev went, you got Russia against Ukraine without trying to get too political. I get it's a rematch with an amateur, so I understand it, but for me, Usyk, man, go and enjoy your 4 children and your wife that you non-stop talking about. Um, I think Fury is too money orientated to retire now, and I do, when he says, what else will I do?" I get it with Fury. Um, I would imagine that the AJ deal will get done now, and I think the boxing fans, we will want to see it. Like we do, we genuinely really do. But I think the casual fans will sort of get interested on the Monday when John Fury um, and Eddie Hearn have an arm wrestle, a topless arm wrestle on the zone, um, with Conor McGregor emceeing from live from Dubai. Um, because that will sadly what that will be now. It will not be. There won't be a world title on the line. There won't be an undefeated record on the line. There won't even be the bragging right of being Britain's leading heavyweight because Daniel Dubois is ahead of it now. Jesus Moses and Talma ain't doing too bad. Um, so yeah, I see Fury. I see Fury AJ being made now, potentially a 2 fight deal. But quite sadly, yeah, it's coming. It's coming with them both well past their prime, and I have a suspicion it will be. Just be yeah, it'd be yeah, a bit grubby is definitely the wrong term, but it won't be what it could have been, which is a shame. But yeah, I'm sure we will see it, because it will be still the biggest fight in British boxing history, and it will make ridiculous money. Um, but yeah, I definitely don't see any retirements from Fury because he remains a big deal, and that fight, even if we like boxing knobheads sit around and and talk about the facts about how it, it's not what it was. It will still be. It's still the one that Turkey wants. He's making all the decisions, and it will still capture the casual fans' attention.
Any part of your conclusion regarding Oleksandr Usyk to retire factored into the potential that Usyk might be past his best and over the hill? Now, I say that because I just listened to some of the reactions and I've heard Carl Froch, who is there as well, to suggest that that's the case there. Have you seen for your eye, look, still a brilliant Oleksandr Usyk, but not at the peak of his powers?
I think you've got to take in consideration that he is fighting a man 4 stone heavier and 6 inches taller. I think you sort of defy anyone to look their best when up against that just sort of quite that basic disadvantages. You know, if you might have a very good Premier League football team, you put Arsenal, Man City in together. If Arsenal was or prime Man City, not the shambles that we see at the minute, but Arsenal might play more defensive, but they might soak up a load of pressure and just score on a counter attack. Usyk perhaps can't be the incredible dominant talent, or when I say I felt we dominated Fury, but he dominated without really, I felt going into fifth gear. So when I think when you're up against a 20 stone man, you've got to box differently than if he was against an 18 stone heavyweight. Don't forget this man's natural weight is 14.4. So yeah, I get why people are saying I think we're seeing a deterioration. And at 37, I think I'm 39. I think I'm shocked. So and I don't train like it anyway. So uh, everyone is in a state of decline, mate. But I do think that 37-year-old Usyk against Tyson Fury is always going to look worse than 37-year-old Oleksandr Usyk against essentially everyone else. Because Fury is huge and heavy and tall with a mental reach. He's also incredibly talented as well. Um, so yeah, there will be natural physical decline of a man of his age. However, I don't think, I wouldn't want to rush into that on the back of 2 fights with Tyson Fury because he's essentially a super heavyweight and and Alexander Usyk is a cruiserweight. So as much as I want him to retire, I'd rather, if there's a good cruiserweight fight or a normal heavyweight to go up against tomorrow, um, I think that would be a better barometer.
Gone.
Don't go anywhere without mentioning how absolutely disgraceful it is that Dave Allen is not
Yes.
celebrating a life-changing win for his family. That man has had a horribly tough career, used and abused by promoters sometimes, taking mental fights, going on the road for Tony Yoka, a convicted steroid cheat, being promised fights, and them not being delivered. Got this fight, and all 3 judges, wasn't it? Was it all 3 judges? No, 2 of them. Sorry, my mistake.
So,
2 of them have done that to him. I think it's despicable. It's not Johnny. It can never be Johnny Fisher's fault. I even think I haven't seen it, but apparently Johnny's dad, Big John, did say to Dave, like, that you won that fight. I saw them hanging around with each other afterwards. That it is so poor. I mean, Johnny Fisher still being in there. That man was taking constant digs, violent punches from round 5 right the way through to the 10th and final bell. The story should be incredible young, untested Johnny Fisher shows the heart of a lion, let alone a Romford bull, to make it to the final bell. And then he comes back and we rebuild and we do a rematch. Instead, because of appalling judging, because of appalling quality of officials, we're now talking about Johnny Fisher's nicked one, and Johnny Fisher ain't as good as and that's really it's so unfair on Johnny, unfair on Dave. Um, our press seats were far away from the VIP seats, but somebody did say to me that Turkey looked pretty disgusted, um, and it's devastating for Dave because it's really rubbish, and um, it's all very well and good saying, yeah, we'll get Dave the rematch, but this is a very happily settled down father of two now, I think, with a missus. That might have taken it away from him. He talks about being in love with the game again, committing himself to it. We know that with some of the opportunities he took, he didn't prepare himself properly for. He's always been incredibly honest. He's essentially the sort of first British boxing YouTube star. Got the sock down his pants, didn't he, for the Dave Howe weigh-in, and suddenly 7 million YouTube views, sort of biggest thing on boxing YouTube. So, like we've all grown up with Dave, and I really felt he deserves so much better than that. And I don't want to see people like, again, well done, Big John, for saying that. And I know that young Johnny will be magnanimous in defeat. But you can only assume that those judges are aware that Johnny's a big ticket seller and he's a big matching card, and they think that they're doing people a favour, and they think that Dave Allen's a stepping stone. Not the first time. Jesus, is not the first time. But they're doing this on big, big shows. The eyes of the world are on the sport. We keep getting told these are the biggest and best shows in the world. The production is unbelievable. The promos are unbelievable. You get a great mental slugfest like that. Bit lacking on talent, but Christ, the amount of heart and blood and guts. And nobody, utterly nobody in that stadium felt that Johnny won the fight. So everyone that Turkey and Riyadh season and Queensbury have charmed into watching the show, all the casuals will just have gone, oh, rubbish, absolute rubbish. Why is that poor bloke there done that? And it's damage. It's right, you can't call everyone in to watch something and Turkey tells us how much he wants to make boxing, one of the mainstream sports again, drag it out of the doldrums, put it back into the public conscience ahead of other sports. But doing that is the work. Now, them three judges, so those two judges, they don't do any of these shows anymore, because that is rank incompetence. And then you start, what? I'd never believe it's corruption. I don't. But I do believe, and that judges do boxing shows every week. They know who the stars of the promotions are, or they work for the same promotion all the time sometimes, or they work for the same sanctioning body all the time. Those two guys didn't score that fight based on punches landed and ring generalship. Right. Johnny Fisher was living on fumes for all 5 rounds. One of which was a 10-8. Dave Allen gave away 1, 2, and 3, no problem. Well, maybe not, but certainly 1 and 2. 3, 4, he comes into it, and then he completely wins the second half. It's really sad for Dave, and I hope he's spoken very openly and candidly. I'm not portraying any secrets here about what his mental health, especially in relationship to the sport. When the sport has chewed you up and spat you out like it did with Dave early on in his career, you just got to hope it doesn't do it now. Hopefully, with the 2 lovely children that he's got, he can see it as, he will be in our minds all the time now. When we've got a red hot prospect, we want to see, let's talk about Dave. Let's talk about the British title for Dave again. So hopefully, well, I've got 2 options. Either it's reignited his love for the game and the purses that are now available thanks to Turkey, and we'll see him on a March show or a show soon, or he thinks, God, you know what, this is the same shit sport with crap officials. I'll take this nice little payday and I'll vanish off into the Doncaster sunset, because he's really, really earned it. And I hope that Johnny Fisher, like now we know Johnny's got fucking heart. You know, he's not just a ticket seller. He's not just a big lump who can whack a little bit. Um, yeah, that boy's come through a massive, massive check. Uh, so yeah, but Johnny will come again definitely. But this, crap officiating and judging to rob David what should have been a massive night.